Hello everybody and welcome back to yet another tier list ranking. Yes, that's right, we're doing another one of these because the first one did surprisingly well. By the way, it is absolutely fucking roasting today, so if I look sweaty and greasy, that's why. Before we jump into it, it would really help me if you could hit like, and without further ado, let's rank the Red Dead 2 tier gang list. Without further ado, let's rank the Red Dead 2 gang members. There we go, got it. I mean, first and foremost, this goes without saying, Micah has his whole own category at the very bottom, because, you know, fuck Micah. And on that same note, without any debate, John and Arthur go straight to S tier, because, you know, they're John and Arthur. They're two of the best protagonists in any piece of media ever. Next up, Abigail, a character that we know both from Red Dead 1 and Red Dead 2, a character that's strong within herself, she doesn't take any shit, but she's also a fantastic, loving mother to Jack. Abigail definitely has a lot of layers to her, you know, she used to be a prostitute, there's questions over whether John is actually Jack's father, and she's stuck in the middle of that. She's stuck in a very hard situation. And she's a character who could have easily been two-dimensional considering she doesn't get all too much screen time. So you know what? I think Abigail deserves an A. Honestly, I think she deserves an A. Bill Williamson, the gang idiot. The dunce who somehow got himself his own gang in Red Dead 1. Bill is a character, I mean, in Red Dead 1 he's presented as kind of intimidating, kind of interesting, but all in all, I wouldn't say there's all too much to Bill. Honestly, I think I'd put him in B just because of the impact he has on Red Dead 1, but as a character in himself, he's not particularly anything special. Next up, we have Miss Susan Grimshaw, the queen herself, kind of the person who runs the place, the camp administrator, a woman who takes no shit from anyone, whether it's Micah, whether it's Bill, whether it's Dutch himself. Miss Grimshaw is an absolute queen, she's loyal and she loves the gang as if they're her own family, and for that, she gets an A as well. There could be a lot of A's here, because next up we have Hosea, who's kind of an older version of Arthur. He, like Arthur, acts as the angel on Dutch's shoulder, guiding him towards the logical and rational solutions. He acts as the antithesis to the chaos that Micah produces. And on top of that, he's kind of the brains of the gang, planning out most of their jobs and bringing in most of the money. A. Now, Javier is an interesting case. A lot of people love Javier because of his inclusion in Red Dead 1, but even in the original game, Javier isn't much more than a two-dimensional caricature. He never really has a massively personal impact on John or Arthur, and other than being able to play the guitar beautifully, he doesn't really have any notable character traits. So I think Javier's gonna have to be our first C. Oh man, Josiah Trelawny. What can I even say about Trelawny, man? I mean, he's insane, first of all, he's absolutely insane. But there's a charm to his insanity, a charm that's definitely intended because he thinks he's the most charming man on the planet. Trelawny acts as some quality comedy relief in between the more serious sections of the game, and I think his unique design and character really make him stand out from the rest of the gang. The question is, does he quite crack the A slot? And I would have to say he's not quite there. To be fair to him, I don't think he could get much higher than B considering the archetype his character fits into. Karen, another take no shit woman who will rob you blind if you turn your back on her for a second. She's cunning, witty, self-aware and independent, and I think for that reason, she goes an A. Yeah, I'll give Karen an A. If there's one character that I think is slightly underused in Red Dead 2, it would be Mary Beth. In some of the camp dialogue we see, she brings up some really interesting questions, and she often acts as a little bit of a moral compass to a lot of the people in the gang. Even though she's on the quiet side, a little bit more introverted, she still has a lot to say. That being said, although I'm a fan of her character, I think she has to go in B. Oh man, Charles. Come on now. He's S. Of course he's S. Of course Charles is S, come on, let's not play about here. And Jack's a bit of an interesting case because in Red Dead 2, we rarely see him actually function as a member of the gang. I mean, there's the amazing fishing mission in Chapter 2, but other than that, he just kind of gets kidnapped and leaves for half the game. But obviously, his relationship and his contrast to his father really makes his character. And I can't help but include some Red Dead 1 bias, so for that reason, he's gonna go an A. Molly O'Shea, one of the most tragic characters in Red Dead 2, despite again her limited screen time. Acting as essentially the trophy wife of Dutch, she's pretty much outcast from the entire rest of the gang. She's put on a pedestal that makes her feel disliked and unwanted. And after putting up with Dutch's bullshit for years, she finally snaps and ends up getting shot. Tragic character, didn't get enough screen time, B. Pearson, the camp cook, what would we do without him? Probably just eat a bunch of canned peaches. Pearson gets like 4 scenes in the entire game, and although all of them are relatively funny, he's not all that much as a character. And although he is a vital part of the gang, I think I still need to put him in C. This is a top heavy list, but I mean, just goes to show how many great characters there are in this game. Sadie, just like Charles, instant S, no discussion. On to Sean, a character who didn't quite get enough screen time, but when he did, he made the absolute most of it. Sean is hilarious from start to finish. He's obviously reminiscent of Irish from Red Dead 1, and he plays that role to perfection. But since we save him from Blackwater just for him to be killed 2 chapters later, I think I'm gonna have to put him in B just for that limited screen time alone. Leopold Strauss, accountant, bookkeeper, loan shark, all around morally bankrupt human being. Strauss himself has some interesting aspects, but he more acts as a plot device for Arthur if we're being honest. So I think he is yet another C. Reverend Swanson's ginger, so I would put him in C, but he does have a really interesting character. He loses faith in the Lord and gains faith in drink, and we see his downfall and his redemption. Most of the gang have little mini arcs throughout the game, but I think Pearson's is one of the more interesting ones. That being said, I don't think he quite cracks the A tier. High B. Tilly is a great character with a really interesting backstory, and I wish so badly that we had had it more fleshed out. It would have been nice if her story with the Foremans had gone on throughout the entire game in the background, instead of just being wrapped up in like 3 missions. She's a character scarred by trauma, and if you get a chance to talk to her in the camp, it is a really interesting conversation. But again, I think she goes in the B. Uncle. Oh man, where do I put Uncle? I mean, what can I say? Uncle is Uncle. He's iconic. Him and his lumbago both go in S. Dutch Vandoland is easily one of the most interesting villains of all time. His descent into madness that we see over both Red Dead 2 and Red Dead 1 is so interesting. Benjamin Byron Davis performs him incredibly, and his monologues stand as iconic. Part of me feels like I've been too generous with the S's, but Dutch needs to be there too. You know what? Dutch should be higher. And finally, the king himself, Lenny, the best character in the entire game, nay, the best character of all time, responsible for the best mission in all of gaming. Lenny, we all cried when you got shot, and you will always be in our hearts. So there it is, my ranking of the Red Dead 2 gang. If you missed my recent video essay about how the game makes this gang feel like family, I'll leave a link in the description. Also, if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and turn post notifications on. Like the video, it is really appreciated. Let me know what your ranking would be in the comments down below. If you want to support the channel, my Patreon link is in the description. And with all that being said, I've been Joe, aka Found a Scarab, and I will see you in the next one.